Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica Pena, and I'm the director of the Houston Admission Center for the University of Texas at Austin. I'm here today to not talk to you about becoming a Longhorn, but I'm here to represent our Houston Area Recruiters Network, also known as HARN, and talk to you more about resume building and what that looks like and how you can prepare as a high school junior or younger classman to kind of start preparing for your college resume for your applications, because that's coming up soon. So I do hope this information is helpful for you. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I have a PowerPoint available. So give me one moment and we'll get started soon. Awesome. Well, here we go. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about resumes and just what that looks like for you as you start to prepare for your applications for college. At the very end of the presentation, I will have my contact information available. So if you have questions about resumes or any of this information I'm sharing with you, feel free to connect with me one-on-one. I am available. All right, so let's jump right on in. So what is a resume? A resume is a brief overview of a person's education, qualifications, and experiences. And you, as a high school student, you are going to prepare this resume and send it out to colleges, a part of your application. Now, I will tell you a big picture when it comes to that resume is we really are just trying to learn more about you as an individual and what you've been doing with your time in and out of the classroom. And so sending in a resume, a part of your college application, can definitely be helpful, especially for those colleges that take that holistic approach when reviewing your application. Now, are resumes a required item? Well, it depends on the institution you're applying for. Some institutions might say, yes, it's an absolute requirement, or maybe an honors program you're applying for or a scholarship application. They might say it's a requirement, but I do encourage you to check with each institution you're applying for to see, is it a required item or is it just an optional item? Optional meaning you should or could send it in if you'll like to. It just provides more information for institutions to consider when reviewing your application. Now, on college applications, so those different applications such as like Common Application, Coalition Application, Apply Texas, those actual applications have a resume portion. I recommend filling that out as much as possible. It's not a requirement typically to fill it out, but I encourage you to fill it out, even if you are going to send a separate resume from your actual application itself. So keep that in mind. It can have very similar information that you might put on an expanded resume, a document that you're sending separately, but I would encourage you to fill out that resume portion on your actual application. Some scholarship opportunities will only consider the information you're putting on your actual application, right? So you don't want to miss out on those opportunities. Fill it out. You will notice, though, that those applications have very small spaces to talk about all of your activities and clubs you've been a part of. And that's where this expanded resume comes into play. Your expanded resume is a separate document that you can create typically in any kind of format. And I'll share a format with you later on towards the end of the presentation. But unless an institution's saying they have a specific format, you basically would create this on a document, a Word document, and that is your expanded resume right there. Again, typically expanded resumes are optional items unless your institution is saying it is a required item. So check with those institutions first. This expanded resume typically can be uploaded to your university's admissions portals. Sometimes you can add it on to the actual application itself. So I know the Coalition application, you can add on your expanded resume to your application itself. Apply Texas does not allow you to do that. I'm not too sure if the Common App does, but again, check that out to see how you can send in your expanded resume. And the expanded resume can have the same information you provided on your actual application, but again, expanded resume, think about details. You have the opportunity to tell us more because your space is very limited on your actual application itself. So keep that in mind. And what does a resume really mean? What are we getting from a resume? As somebody who reviews applications, what are we trying to get out of reading your resume? Well, we want to know about you, right? If you don't tell us, we don't know. Your resume, your expanded resume, is the best place to talk about you, especially for those schools that are taking that holistic approach. We want to see what you've been doing with your time in and out of the classroom, and that looks different for everyone. And I'll give you a breakdown of different types of activities you can talk about. But again, think about what you're doing in and out of the classroom and what those activities look like and how you want to share that with these institutions you're applying for. We are going to look at the information you're providing, and that will be just a small glimpse about how you can impact our university, right? What are you bringing to the table? You have a lot as well, so tell us about it on that expanded resume. And we want to know your interests. And so usually institutions are looking for very diverse classes, right? They are looking for students who are doing amazing things, who are doing creative things. And we want to know that. And the way you're going to tell us about those interests, it's going to be on that expanded resume. All right. Things to remember when creating and writing your resume. Be detailed. I keep saying this over and over, but if you don't tell us on that resume, we won't know. So be detailed on that resume. And also, how many pages does your resume have to be? Well, it depends on the institution you're applying for. If they are not indicating how many pages you're limited to, then I would say 1 to 3 pages is good for an expanded resume. 10-page resume, not necessarily needed, right? Although it's really cool to see you have 10 pages of things you've been doing, and that's a whole lot. And so I try to bring it down to at least 1 to 3 pages, or even 1 is okay, but if you think expanded, think detailed. So it's okay if you submit more than a 1-page resume. So keep that in mind. Again, format, unless that institution is indicating you have to follow a certain format, then it's fair game. Anything goes, right? So again, be detailed, tell us about yourself, and stick to any formats if that's being required from any institution. All right, what counts? So anything you've done during high school, right? You're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, what you might be doing your senior year, right? You want to put that down on your expanded resume. What would I leave off of my expanded resume? Maybe in 8th grade, you volunteered at a library for about 2 hours, one summer. I will leave that off of your resume, right? I would recommend sticking to things you have done during your high school career. Now, a disclaimer to that is maybe you've been a part of some sort of organization consistently since you were in elementary, middle school, and on to high school. Example of that would be Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, right? If you've been doing that since you were younger, tell us about those accomplishments. You know, that would be important to do. I know I was involved in folklorico and flamenco dancing ever since I was younger, and I was a part of this organization or this dance group, and we would perform all across the city of San Antonio. And I spent every afternoon after my days in school, I would go to these dance classes, and that was a lot of work, right? I spent a lot of time and hours and dedication to that. That is something I would have included on my college resume, especially continuing from when I was younger all the way through my senior year in high school, right? That is information you would want to include. But again, if you just did it for a little while, elementary, middle school, probably leave it off. Also leave it off if it's something that you had not continued on doing again from like your younger years leading up to high school, right? So if I stopped doing my flamenco, folklorico dancing, my sophomore year in high school or my freshman year in high school, I would have not included that in my college resume. So keep that in mind. There's no right or wrong answer as far as what you should include on your resume. So you can consider that information. It's not right or wrong if you have it on there, as long as you're being detailed. I would be honest on your resume as well. Universities are typically not going to reach out to that organization to confirm you were taking part in that organization. So you do want to be as honest as possible. Keep that in mind. But again, we're not going to go and confirm. So use your best judgment when creating your resume, right? All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into what counts and what should you be putting on your resume. Now, this is just a list of different things you can consider to put on the resume. And you will notice this list does not have just student organizations. It will list your AP, IB, honors courses, or any subject test scores that you might have. You can include that on your resume. You can include any religious activities that you're a part of. Maybe you are a youth leader, right? Maybe you go and help out at the nursing home. Maybe you have a few licenses or certificates. Tell us about that on that resume. Maybe you work, right? Tell us about it on that resume. Or if you take care of family members, maybe you speak a lot of different languages, right? Maybe you have some really great skills, or maybe you're really great at playing the ukulele and harmonica at the same time. Maybe you have your own side business, right? Maybe you go and walk dogs for the neighborhood, or whatever the case may be. It's fair game. Tell us about it on your expanded resume. Do not limit yourself to only putting information that from what you have done with activities in high school, right? It can be outside of the high school as well. Now, if you're looking at this list and you're thinking, wow, I would not have anything to put on my resume. And maybe you're a junior right now, or maybe you're a sophomore or freshman in high school. Students, get out there, start doing some amazing things, right? And that can look different for everyone. Maybe you are really into computer science things and you know how to build websites. Look at your local communities, look at their websites. And if you see they're kind of outdated, reach out to that business and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I go to this high school. I know how to build websites. I would love to build your website for your business or update it for you free of charge. I just want to talk about it, use this experience for when I'm applying to colleges, right? That's pretty fancy there. Leadership goes a long way on resumes as well. Memberships, right? You're going to put this all down on your expanded resume and be detailed. Now, you might be thinking, well, how many volunteer hours do I need to have, right? Or do I need to do absolutely every single thing on this list? No, by no means. Do not go out and do absolutely everything you see on this list, right? It's better to be involved in one or two activities and be dedicated to one or two things versus doing all of these things for maybe 1 hour ever out of your whole entire high school experience, right? So it's not just about the how many you're doing, right? It's about the quality and what you're putting into these organizations. So keep that in mind. Maybe you cannot get involved, right? Maybe you take care of your younger siblings, or maybe you have to work. Tell us about that on that resume, right? Be creative. You don't have to just show us about student organizations or your involvement in research or internships, right? Tell us what you've been doing. It looks different for everyone. So not every student's gonna just have student organizations, right? Some students will have work. Some students will have research that they've been a part of, right? So this looks different for everyone. There's not a right or wrong when it comes to that expanded resume. Besides just being detailed, that's gonna be the best thing when thinking about writing your expanded resume. Right, what to include on that resume. I do have a template for you to kind of review, but you want to think about writing your hours, how many years you were involved, or months and weeks you were involved in different types of activities or special interests. That time frame. Did you hold any positions? Were you the historian, the president, a member? Were you selected? Were you nominated? Were you voted in or requested by your teachers to receive this award, right? Tell us. How many students applied for it and were you selected out of so many, right? What did you do? Overall, we want to know that. And then again, this looks different for everyone. So think about all of that information when you're including it on your expanded resume. Now, to prepare for writing your resume, students, I recommend getting out a piece of paper or Maybe it's on your computer and you are going to separate your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, and you are going to write in each of those little spaces exactly what you've been doing your freshman year, senior year, junior year, sophomore year, right? Break it down. I recommend talking about that list with your family, your friends, your best friends that know you, because they might remember something that some award you received or something that you were a part of that you just forgot because you got a lot going on, right? Share this list with them and probably add on things that you might have forgotten, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, this is an example resume. You do not have to use this format when applying to UT Austin or any other school, right? This is just an example resume. And if you're wondering where I got this, I literally just went to Google and typed in college resume Bevo, right? And you can see this expanded resume there. You can see on this expanded resume, it shows education, work experience, activities. And on the next page, I'll show you, it shows honors, awards, and different skills. That Bevo, the Longhorn, or Bevo Longhorn, that's the student's name, kind of told us more about their education experiences. And you can see the details. So I'm going to kind of just point out a few things on this expanded resume. So Bevo worked at McBevo's, where in Austin, Texas. It shows that this student worked 3 hours a week as a cashier. So that was the title, cashier. And then I like how this resume has different bullet points as far as what did the student do while working at McBevo's. Details, again, very important. You can do bullet points or you can decide to do paragraphs. It's up to you. But I like that Bevo took the time to explain what they were doing in organizations, right? And I'll give an example of that. I go to high schools. I talk with students all of the time. And students will say, okay, I've been a part of the Key Club. And I say, okay, tell us on your resume, what did you do in your Key Club, right? What's the Key Club all about? Because if I'm not familiar with the Key Club, I'm going to think you just really like keys. And those of you who know about the Key Club, it's not an actual, they don't collect keys or anything. They go out and do a lot of service projects, right? And so tell us about your organization. Do not take for granted whoever's reading your application is very familiar with your student organization, right? National Honor Society, what are you doing in your National Honor Society? What position do you hold? Tell us about it. And you can see Bevo really explained here what they were doing in student council, the Longhorn football team. So be detailed. And you can see on the left-hand side under activities, it tells us also how many years or what grade level the student Bevo was doing this on. And then you can see honors and awards, skills, talents, and achievements. I will point out here that Bevo could have explained more under Eagle Scout what Bevo did to earn that Eagle Scout award. So you can see it says Eagle Scout here, but there's no details. I would have liked Bevo to really explain what did you do to receive that Eagle Scout award and what were the outcomes of it, because getting an Eagle Scout award is a pretty high achievement and a lot of work is put into that. And Bevo didn't tell us about it, right? So I would have asked Bevo to explain a little bit more on that Eagle Scout. But you can see languages, musical instruments, played various horns since 3rd grade. That's a great example of something that Bevo has been involved in from younger years leading up into high school, right? So that's something definitely to include. And then you can see different communication skills, and again, languages, fluent in mooing, puffing, and stomping. Very important to know. But again, sharing those interests with us and those languages just gives us a glimpse about you as a student. Now that is kind of just wrapping up everything you kind of need to keep in mind when building that resume. Students, you don't have to wait till your senior year to start creating and building your resume. In fact, you can start doing this your freshman year. Build a document online every time you do something or win an award. Add it to that resume, save it and add it so when it gets to your senior year, you're ready to go and you're not missing out on anything, right? You're not missing sharing any very important information about you to these colleges, especially those that holistically review, who are really looking at that whole picture of you as a student and what you are bringing to the table. So keep that in mind. Now, this is just more, if you have more questions or want more information, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is veronica.pena@austin.utexas.edu. I would be happy to talk with you about any of the information I shared. Just quick overview, resumes. We want to know about you. If you don't tell us, we as a university do not know. So you want to tell us about it. You want to be honest. You want to be detailed. Students, do something awesome with your time, right? And if you don't tell us, we don't know. Biggest takeaway from that. So thank you all for joining me today to learn more about building your resume. I appreciate you taking the time to join us here with Harn as you start to learn about different college topics. We appreciate you. Have a great day and hook 'em horns. Oh, first I got to exit out of this, so you're still going to see me just for a little bit. Pause, share, and we will stop recording. Bye, all. Have a great day.